So I've had this absolute behemoth for a couple of weeks now. I've played it a ton. I've used this thing a lot. It reminds me in some ways of back in the day when I used to play my PlayStation Vita or my PSP a ton, or some of the times when my Nintendo Switch was a constant companion when there might have been a game that was really grabbing me. I'm really enjoying it overall, but I have a lot of thoughts about this thing, which we're going to break down today in this review. This has no script, which isn't that abnormal from what I normally do, but in a video like this, typically I would script things, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to kind of let things fly and talk about things as they come to my head. So the first thing that I think we have to talk about are the ergonomics of this thing. It is absolutely massive. So a lot of people initially ask me, how comfortable is this thing to actually game with? A lot of people think, well, like, look at the buttons. They're almost, melting over the edge. Is that comfortable to actually use? And the answer to that question, rather surprisingly, is yes. Even though it is very large and it's not super light, once you get used to holding this thing like this, because of the ergonomics, because of these grips, it is actually very, very comfortable to game on. And I really, honestly, have no complaints in terms of long sessions with this thing. I still don't like playing shooters on it because, these sticks are rather large. They're a lot bigger than what we have on the Nintendo Switch, which definitely lends itself to shooters a bit better. I can't play shooters on joysticks anymore. I just can't. But the games I am playing, games like Horizon, work really, really well, and it's comfortable. Playing for decently long sessions, it's fine. It doesn't get super hot. You don't get super fatigued because these grips, it's really, really well thought out. It's very, very comfortable in the hand. I do like using the gyro controls in games like Horizon, so I've got mine set up so that when I'm holding down the left trigger to aim, I can aim with the right stick, but I can also then kind of fine-tune my aim by moving the thing around with the gyro, and that worked beautifully, beautifully well. I find myself being able to nail headshots with my bow and arrow very, very easily, so that definitely works. Ergonomics are great. It's really big when I do bring it places with me, like I've taken it over to my mom's to let my little brother see it for a little while. And of course, that case does really come in handy there. Drop it in the included carrying case to travel with. And overall ergonomics are good. It's big, but the screen looks good. The buttons feel good. I have no real complaints. As far as the physicality of this thing, it's about as good as it's going to get. The trackpads are even okay. I like the subtle vibration as you use those trackpads. If you don't know, that's what these are. These are actually dual trackpads, and you can use that to move a cursor around in games that have a cursor. RTS type games where you have to have that mouse control. They feel very, very good. So yeah, from the hardware perspective, I'm super impressed with this thing. How has it actually kind of fit into my gaming life, though? I think that is the bigger question, and I think that is the aspect of this that is the most important. There are only two ways that I play games. Number one is here at this computer desk. I'm in Discord with a friend and I'm playing with people, okay? And that way I will play for, a couple hours at a time, maybe 3 hours tops before I'm sore from sitting still and I gotta get up and move around. The other way I play are in quick bursts. And that is what Steam Deck has been for me. Lately I've been playing a game called Dinkum, which is an Animal Crossing, Stardew Valley, My Time at Portia sort of amalgamation, which is really, really good actually. And I love being able to pick up my Steam Deck, turn it on, play for a day in the game, get a few things done, hit the power button, set it down, and leave. Go do something else. And then maybe 2 hours later, pick it back up, and the game is right there waiting for me. There's no cost to getting into the game, and that's kind of how my brain wants to play games, in small chunks, which can be very easily stopped and then resumed later. That's how I did most of my playing on my PSP, my Vita, my Switch back in the day. It was that sort of thing. Pick up, play, put it back down. Now, in that vein, certain games just didn't really make sense for me. I wanted to play Gone Home on this device. Well, here's the problem. There's two problems here, and one I'm going to get into a little bit more in depth in a minute, because it is by far the thing about the Steam Deck that keeps me from saying this thing is damn near perfect. It is driving me crazy. Maybe you can help me with it. But Days Gone took a long time to load in. Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm still trying to play through, and it sort of has a similar problem where when you load it up cold, it's like a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes before you're actually in the game. And then for me, okay, I'm in the game now, whatever. I can pause it and do that thing I was talking about where I put it down and pick it up. And that's okay. Games that load in really quickly, though, I think are better because this thing just fits my ADD lifestyle better than most other systems like this. The biggest problem, though, is crashes. I don't know what is going on with my particular device, but I would say about a quarter of the time I come out of standby, whether I'm in a game or not, the thing, it briefly shows the screen I was in, and then it goes black. Hit the power button again, and then it goes through this full reboot process where it has to verify the installation, and it's like a minute and a half before I'm rebooted. And then if I'm going to play something like Horizon, this may sound crazy, but I'm probably not going to play it now because it's taken me a minute and a half. It's going to take me another 2 minutes to get into the game. Just the way my brain works, that long of a time of just doing this, waiting for the game to be ready to play, I'm probably just going to put it down and go do something else. I know that's probably crazy, but that's how my brain works. Those crashes I'm experiencing they're driving me insane. And I don't know what the problem is. I've moved to the beta channel on the OS and on, I think, Steam, whatever they call it. Both options are on beta now, and I don't know if that's fixed it or not because I just did that. But I've done some other things. I've uninstalled all my emulators. I basically tried to return this thing to as close to stock as I could. No extra frills on top. That hasn't seemed to do anything. Far and away, that is the most frustrating thing about this device for me. Rather shockingly to me, though, this thing actually does fit in quite well with my other mode of play, which is in Discord, talking to my friends and playing for long periods of time, because you can do something pretty cool here. You can actually install Discord on this thing. See, I'm playing Dinkum right now, and it actually didn't crash, so that's fantastic to see. And I can hit the Steam button. I can go to my library. I can go to non-Steam, and I can fire up Discord, and this will run quite happily in the background. I can join a voice server if I want to, be talking to my friends with the sound coming out of this thing and this acting as my microphone. They're hearing no echoes, apparently, no problems at all. I've got this actually mapped to control the mouse. I can jump in a server, though. I can go back to my game and continue playing as if nothing strange is going on at all. And it's really, really good. I've done this several times where my wife is in another room playing on her PC. I may be in the living room playing a game, and maybe there's 2 or 3 of us total in that server, and we're just chatting and having a good time. It's incredible how well that actually does work. The act of actually playing the games on the Steam Deck, I really can't say much negative about it. Now, in terms of performance, there are some things here or there, right? So like a game like Dinkum, which is pretty, lo-fi, runs totally fine. In fact, I've got the TDP lower to 7 watts. I'm running it at 30 FPS, and it's fine. I'm going to save some battery at that, probably get 3-4 hours of battery life playing, and that's fantastic. A game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is very, very high fidelity, with some settings kind of tweaked, I'm getting 30 FPS, but like just barely, right? There are definitely quite a few places where it hitches. It is still playable. I'm still enjoying it, and it still looks great on that screen. But you're going to get about 2 hours of battery life, and that's about it. Now, I do tend to play a lot of indie games, though, right? So games like Hotline Miami or Titan Souls are absolutely wonderful, and you're going to get 6-8 hours of battery life on games like that. So you can really run the gamut from a AAA title that's going to run okay, well enough to play, right? Console, 30 FPS, fine, maybe 2 hours of battery life, all the way to an indie game that's going to run as well as it possibly could, and you're going to get way more battery life on a single charge than you're probably ever going to play. The speakers, I feel like, are quite good because they're so far apart. You actually get a little bit of stereo separation. They're plenty loud. I think they sound fine. Are they the best speakers in the world? No, but I mean, are they going to serve the purpose really well? Yeah, absolutely. And the good news is, unlike the Nintendo Switch, maybe that's actually a thing that works now, maybe it's not. You can just pair Bluetooth earbuds to this. I've got several pairs of Bluetooth earbuds that have a gaming mode. Pair them, put them in, switch to gaming mode so that it's low latency and they sound fantastic. That's a really good solution. And you could have like active noise cancellation at the same time while you're playing. Now the version I am reviewing is the $399 base model version with the 64 gigs of internal storage. I do have a 400 gigabyte SD card plugged into the bottom, which is a fine solution as far as I can tell. I can tell no difference in the loading times internal versus on that SD card. They're both pretty similar. And since I had that SD card already lying around, I'm not going to pay $529 for 256 or $649 for 512. I could pay $400 for 64 plus 400. That's clearly a better option for me. I don't care about these other options either. And I know that the NVMe SSD should be faster in terms of storage, but if you watch videos online, people loading games on both, they're actually really similar. So I don't really know that it's worth it. To me, the $399 model with an SD card is probably the way to go, and games load off of it just fine. And the cool thing is, you can take the SD card out, the game will then say install, it'll be like, oh, it's not there anymore. Plug it back in, and within 2 seconds, it's back to being playable. It's really quick in terms of hot swappability. So you could get a couple of SD cards and hot swap between them, and that would be like having a super cartridge on your Nintendo Switch. Now, in terms of the Arch Linux desktop mode, I'm not really going to cover that much in this video. I've talked about it a little bit already, and I've got a much bigger video coming later on. I'm actually waiting for something to arrive before I really jump into that video, so it'll be on its own separate video. It's there, it's interesting, you can do some cool stuff with it, but I've spent the vast majority of my time in the normal SteamOS interface, which is fine. I find it to be adequate in terms of navigation. The settings are quite deep and easy to reach. I like the 2 buttons on either side to get into either a quick little menu to the left that lets you get into your library, your settings, your friends, your profile, all these things. And then on the right, you've got another cool button which lets you customize all sorts of things like the performance of the device while you're playing it, change all sorts of interesting performance things to make games run better. FSR is in there. There's a lot of cool stuff. I really think they've done a pretty darn good job here with the operating system in terms of just making it one usable, but also adding a lot of stuff in there that power users are going to really like to see. Overall, the biggest question, am I regretting my purchase? Am I regretting spending that money on the Steam Deck? And so far, the answer is a resounding no. If they could fix this crashing issue for me, which may result in me very soon having to just factory reset the thing and start completely over. The reason I haven't done that is because I have a couple of games that do not support cloud saves, and I don't know how to get my save off of this device to preserve it, and I don't want to lose my progress. So once cloud saves are there on those 2 games I'm waiting on, maybe I'll just factory reset it, and maybe that'll fix it. But I have to bring it up now because I've Googled, and other people are having the same problem, and I don't seem to be able to find a solution to it. If you remove that, I would say this thing has been absolutely incredible. With that in there, it's one of those things where I'm like, man, the potential for this thing is fantastic, but the times that I pick it up, and I'm going to play something, and it shuts down, makes me want to throw it through a window, and it really frustrates me. So if that can just get fixed, I'll be in heaven. It'll be fantastic. Guys, thanks for watching my quick review of the Steam Deck. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.